My earliest memories of Miss Bonnie Lass is when it was first developed. My sister was one of the first in the first group with Shirley Doby Swanholm. Um, the thing that strikes me as such a different thing from then to now is the stage was full with 15 to 20 girls. And the year that I ran, I think there were 14 or 15 girls. And so it was quite a big deal back then to be crowned.
So I don't remember this happening, but my mom told me this happened. Lynn Osmondson, who would be Lee Soley's older sister, was one of my babysitters, and we went to Burns Night when she was running for Miss Bonnie Lass. And she did not win, and I was very sad, very very sad about that. Um, but I started Scottish dancing when I was in third grade. That's how early you could start, and so we would dance, for our 2 minutes of the program. And then all the little dancers got to sit in the front row on the floor of the gym. And we would watch coronation. And we would also, I remember turning around and looking when they were introducing the past queens and all the sparkly crowns. And like, that's just what she wanted to be. It was like our version of Miss America, right? That all the beautiful dresses, and sometimes it was somebody's older sister because we didn't really know most of the people that were older. But yeah, those are my first memories.
With our tea that year, I remember getting up and like making sure that we were dressed nice to go to our tea and to have our interviews, and it was just kind of nerve wracking. Like, not that us girls weren't really close to each other, but we were. Um, and it just was nervous to like be questioned about like how well do you know our town and our traditions and things like that. And then I remember going with my friend and getting our hair done in between to like dress up in our beautiful little dresses to go up on stage. Um, and getting there and having all the bagpipe music and seeing like all the people that were there that attend every year and just kind of feeling in awe of, wow, there's just a lot of people here that I didn't really realize that this was so special to. And then remembering when I got crowned, like, because I was crowned second. Miss Congeniality was crowned first, and that was Amanda Johnson my year. I got crowned second and second runner up. And then waiting and seeing who got it. And Mandy Maurer got first place, and then Rachel Massip got Miss Bonnie Lass. And it was just kind of exciting. I felt bad for Tracy and Alicia that didn't get anything, but they had been part of the Scottish tradition, and Alicia taught dance for several years. So after that, it was kind of just overwhelming. The previous year's courts, 2000 court of Margaret Doby and Veronica Ziegler and Rachel Vobble, then took us out to Perkins that night and started a tradition that way. At least they had done it for the years before them. And so we went out to Perkins late at night and are dressed up and hung out or whatever. But it was just kind of like, I don't know, kind of whirlwind. You think of like a wedding or things like that. That kind of seemed like Bonnie Lass that night.
I remember being so nervous thinking about I need to walk in and introduce myself. And, we did some practicing, but I remember that feeling very foreign to me and very intimidating. Um, but we did it the night of, or just a day or two before our year. I had been to one of my brother's wrestling meets, and I got a little over enthusiastic in my cheering, and I lost my voice. I've never had laryngitis before and never since. So went into the interviews with hardly any voice above a whisper. And I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, there's no way I would ever be chosen. They're hardly going to be able to hear me. So that was just kind of a funny thing. And then when I did win and being up there on the stage and just my scratchy voice, like trying to croak out all the things you were supposed to say, now humorous, but at the time it was absolutely nerve-wracking.
When Isabella got crowned, I remember waiting and we were waiting in the crowd with our families and watching because that's how if we weren't dancing, we were waiting in the crowds to see who would win. And when Isabella won, it was kind of cool because we have a strong Scottish background, like our family um, is super Scottish and we'd been curling for so long. And so when she won, our grandma and our dad and our mom were super excited and super happy. And then next year was my turn to go, and we don't know who's going to win until we're standing up on the stage and they open the envelope, and that's the first time anybody knows who's going to get crowned. So it was all kind of in the air, and I was sitting there and I was like, oh man, like I remember I was super nervous and there was a crowd and I knew I had to do a speech afterwards. But I wasn't really expecting to win, and so when she put the crown on my head, I didn't know what to do. So when I was Miss Bunny Last then and I had to go and crown the next Miss Bunny Last on stage, um when I opened the envelope, I saw her name, and it's hard to keep the excitement. And when you know your sister is gonna get crowned, and you do the little crown over here, crown over here, crown over here, over here, and then I put it on her head, and it was kind of completing the circle in a way because it was the first time all three sisters had been crowned for Miss Bunny Last, which is kind of crazy and not that doesn't happen very often in small towns, especially for small celebrations. But it was super cool that all three of us were able to kind of get that honor to hold that title as Miss Bunny Last for a year.
The thing I remember most prior to being chosen as first runner-up was sitting next to one of my classmates, and she had a long ribbon on her dress. And I remember grabbing that ribbon and folding it back and forth like a fan, one fold this way, one fold that way. And pretty much, I don't remember a single thing about the program at all, except doing that and then being hugged as first runner up. Otherwise, it's a complete blur.
And my funniest story about coronation was you didn't run thinking you were going to win, right? Nobody up there thought, well, I'm going to win this thing. You just did it because everyone was doing it, and it was fun to spend time with your friends. At that point, we had 2 different events. So I don't know what time of year it would have been, maybe November. Rebecca Ward met us all at the Town and Country Leisure Center, and she was modeling at that time. So she taught us how to do makeup and how to walk. So we had that event, and I think the judges were there for that too, just to observe us and had lunch with us. And then we did the actual interviews then on the day of Burns Night. So anyway, we're all up there and everybody looks great. And Janelle got Miss Congeniality and second runner up, and she was very deserving of that. Like, you're happy for people, right? Because they're your friends. You grew up with them. Like, yeah, that's perfect. And then Joanna got first runner up, but not everyone got crowns at that time. Second runner up, first runner up got trophies, like with a rectangle wooden base, and then it was a nice trophy. And Tracy Walters, Hurley, was first runner up the year before. And so she was walking in front of all of us with the first place trophy. And if you know Tracy, you know she's very tall and she's got very long arms. Okay. So she goes to give Joanna, she makes eye contact with Joanna. So you knew she was coming for Joanna, who was standing right next to me. And Tracy goes to hug Joanna and give her the trophy, and the corner of the trophy hits me in the mouth. So if you're watching the video, you can see me like turning to congratulate Joanna, and as that's happening, my head like just goes back a little bit. And so now I'm standing there with a bloody lip, and I can feel it swelling. So I'm like just sucking on my lip thinking, this is almost over. Like, this is awful. So that gets done, and at that point, like, it was probably good because I wasn't nervous. I was just like, I gotta get off the stage. So Becky Klein Otten was Miss Bonnie Last the year before me. So then she came behind and did the crowning, and I was shocked. I was excited. I was ecstatic, and I'm like thinking to myself, in all of these pictures, I'm going to have a fat lip because it felt fat. I didn't know how it looked, right? So I went up to the microphone and did my thank you to the Maple River Burns Club and the Heather Curling Club and the Mapleton Chamber of Commerce, and I am just sobbing. Like, if there was an award for the Miss Bonnie Last that cried the most, I would have to win that hands down. Like, I couldn't get it together. I just cried and cried and cried. And, then the piper pipes you off, and there's pictures of that, and I am just a hot mess. And I think I was so proud, and I was so happy, and I was so relieved that everything had gone smoothly. And so now when I look back at the pictures, the ones that were in the paper, it looks like I kind of look like Rocky, like I just got done in a boxing match, because my eyes are puffy from crying. My lips a little puffy, puffier than normal. But my smile was like sincere, because I was sincerely very happy about it. So That's my biggest memory from the actual coronation. And Tracy didn't even know what happened, right? Like nobody knew it had happened.
This activity was made possible by an artist grant provided by the Prairie Lakes Regional Arts Council from funds provided by the McKnight Foundation.